Okay, hey, it's Maria Malec again on the Taking Healthy Back tour across America. Today I have Deb Williams, who is another health freedom advocate, another kick-ass mom. She may not think so, but I see what she does, and she's an amazing mom. She's like a mini me, or a me 20 years ago. And she also has a silent advocacy t-shirt company. What's the name of it?
It's Mind Body Blend, and that's just a small element of what that brand is all about. But I really love the t-shirts because it brings an element of empowerment to people
Okay, that's right.
in their health journeys, So that's kind of why I started it.
Yeah. Health empowerment.
Yep.
Let me show you. Here, you hold them up.
Yes, yeah. So these are some of the fun messages, right? So everything is very purpose-driven that I put out there, and I want people to be wearing these as they're going out and, running their errands, spending time with their friends and family, whatever it may be. But they're, great messages, super spreader of love, light, truth, and gratitude. That was developed.
And your shirt?
Yeah. This is farms are greater than pharma. And as you notice, the capital harm.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, everything's kind of very
well thought out.
Yeah, very intentional. That's my thing. So, yes. Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to interview Deb is because, not just because we have so much in common, but she is really an example and a force in the community. I remember following her on Instagram, and then, following her later on, and she went from, a few hundred people to 64,000 followers. And I was just like, what the heck did you do? And it was just something that... in 2020, when we were all experiencing a global thing, she was very vocal and got this incredible following that I have so much respect for her, because she is a young mom. Her kids are under
They're 7 and 9. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's really a bold light in the chaos of all the health stuff going out
health
there.
Oppression, health discrimination. I actually have a t-shirt about that over there too. I can grab it to show you, because this is just so important, because it represents so much of what we've stood for. Just say no to medical coercion, medical discrimination, medical bullying, medical segregation, tyranny, and dictatorship, which we've seen so much of that over the past 2 years. So I was kind of thrust into doing this through just the advocacy for my own children and the children here in the community, in the schools, and it really just started with that. I won't stand by idly and let them do this and think they can get away with it. Right. We have to re-empower parents. We have to reconnect parents to their kids' education, and not just that, but health has always been a priority for me and my family. So it was it was a no-brainer when you start attacking natural, God-given health. It was a no-brainer. It was okay, this is not, I can't just sit by.
But you're an atypical mom in this current narrative. I really believe that.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are becoming aware, but it needs people like you, it needs people like me to, in a positive way, bring it to light.
Yes.
Because you can't do anything with coercion. You just can't.
Right. I mean, I think people, obviously there was a lot of fear. A lot of fear. That was that was my second t-shirt that I made. The first t-shirt that I even made was, I have one of them left. It was Unmask Our Children. And it was never intended to be a t-shirt business or brand or anything like that. It was just, hey, this is what we're doing in the community. We're gathering up people. We are, coming together for a purpose. And it was for the kids, on behalf of the kids. And I ended up pulling my kids out of school.
Oh, wow.
Out of public school. They're no longer in a public school. And I would never go back to a public school. I would homeschool before If it was the option of, public school or homeschooling, I would be homeschooling them in an instant.
Right.
Public school will never be in my wheelhouse ever again.
And I agree that that's, we were talking earlier, and that's like when my kids really got introduced to sugar and, some bad habits and things of that nature.
It goes back to before 2020. Like, there are so many problems in the education system, as we know now, indoctrination system, right?
Yes.
But really what it comes down to is they do not, the public schools are not equipped, nor are they motivated to provide the tools and the skills and the knowledge for children to actually be truly healthy at the core, mind, body, spirit. Mm-hmm. They can't do it, and they're not doing it. And there's tons of, obviously, look at the school lunch system. I mean, this is stuff I've been talking about for years, way before 2020.
And I worked in the lunchroom when my kids were in elementary school, and I could only work 1 year because I couldn't handle the waste, and what were in these foods were basically snacks and sugar, and and then the teachers have to deal with that.
Empty calories. Yeah, it's drained, empty,
and sucking the life out of their brains, and
for sure, Yep.
So that leads me to my first question, which is, how is health related to success as a mom in a family? What is success to you, and how does health play a part in it?
I feel like I could go so many different directions with that question, because it's two questions really.
Sure.
How is, like, what is success to me? First of all, success to me, I actually have dealt with this and thinking through this for a long time, because even with my husband, his idea of success is very different than mine.
Sure.
And coming into our relationship, we've been together, 16 years now, long time.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
But coming into that and then working through and figuring out that we had to work through our childhood programming to come together and then create a new relationship and family, that took many, many, many years. I feel like we just started to come into that in our 30s. Being consciously realizing that we are responsible for creating the relationship and the dynamic that is different than some of the dysfunction that we grew up with and pulled with us, right?
Absolutely.
That's a whole thing. But, his idea is a whole nother interview. But really going into success, for him, for example, it's working, providing for the family, very tied into money. And not in a greedy way, but just that programming of money equals success. I view things so differently with success. It's never been money, and I'm not a money motivated person. So I've always been purpose driven, and everything that I do is never, I can make money doing this, so I will do that. It is, I am passionate about, I feel called to, so I will.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of that's led me down a very different path than a lot of people that I've found over life that define success very differently than I do. Mm-hmm. And that's the first part of that question. But then as far as health goes, I think if you're not healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, what are you working for? What do you, if it is just that money aspect, money fades, money goes away at the end of your life. What are you passing on?
Right.
Just paper.
Right.
Nothing of true substance and worth. Like, your health is your wealth.
Right. And
it is your true wealth.
Health can be a legacy, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can't function if I'm not feeling good. I don't have energy, right? Which is tied into all of those different things, and if I don't have a good relationship with my family, with my children, with God, with my creator, with nature, with what I think, people have lost touch with, really. At the end of the day, it's like, we're just so disconnected from what really matters. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I 100% ditto.
Yeah. We always have aligned.
Sure.
Yeah. It's great to just talk about it, though, and put it out there,
Okay. Okay, so the second question, Deb, is, what are your 3 to 5 non-negotiables? for sustained wellness.
For sustained wellness. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, woo, that's a big one. Honestly, a few books come to mind for me, and 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, and then also this
I love him.
Yeah, great thought leader. Then oh gosh, what's his name? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, okay. Is it Covey?
Covey.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So
reading those.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I read those 2 books at kind of, I would say, the beginning of my stepping into awareness journey, which was probably about 5-6 years ago, that I consciously stepped into a journey of, growth and exploration, and really realized it was a lifelong journey.
Sure.
And you kind of live subconsciously in like asleep, as we, a lot of people are in the world, kind of asleep. Like, that's what that means. You're just not living consciously, right?
Right.
You're not like awake, of victim mentality almost.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would say that would be the very first one, is victim mentality. Do not, like, that is non-negotiable. Victim mentality. We can't live there.
Sure.
Because that's only ever going to be a place of lack and just
scarcity.
We need to step into personal responsibility in all of those aspects to be able to really have like a full life that, of meaning and purpose.
Sure.
And blaming never really gets us anywhere, it's just a bunch of excuses, and you're not really taking radical responsibility for your life and your choices and your habits and all those things. So that's number 1. How many did you say?
3 to 5.
3 to 5? Okay.
It could be also, the things that you incorporate in your day.
Yeah.
Nutrition products.
I would
whatever.
say like a principle, like a top principle that I practice and I teach my children that's at the top is responsibility over entertainment. So that kind of like on that path of personal responsibility, which is right at the top, no victim mentality right there, going right into too many people are just so tied up in entertainment. And responsibility doesn't become a priority for a lot of people. So it's, TV, video games, movies, things that distract us from what actually matters. And I mean, that's something that I teach my kids, and it's been a struggle. I wouldn't say a struggle, but just with the, culture the way that it is, and kids wanting to keep up with their friends, with, some of these things, movies, video games, all that kind of stuff. It's like, we have to bring it back to really teaching them truly, like, okay, there is a time and a place for those kinds of things. I don't want you to think that life is just completely only ever this like boring path. There is time for fun. There is time for entertainment, sure. But we really have to put these things first, So that's huge to our success as a family, my success as a person, my success in parenting is really teaching them that.
Well, and teaching them real life skills.
Yes. I mean, exactly. And so it's like responsibility ties into almost like the third one, which is all of these skills. Like, teach your children how to be in the kitchen, how to cook, how to create, take care of their bodies, and how to make meals, and how to not just feed and fuel, but to nourish, right? Like, choose and nurture and nourish your body and your mind. And we learn about how certain foods affect our brain, our emotions, all these different aspects of health. Right. And, so I think that's probably, obviously at the top there as well. It's hard to go down the line in terms of importance, because they're all really important. But, get your kids back in the kitchen, teach them.
Well, back to family values.
Right.
Family togetherness.
Exactly. I think people should be growing their own food. You know, that's something that we've been, you know, working on. It's been a trial and error because I was disconnected from it. I was raised in the city. You know, I didn't know any better. And my mom really, she tried her best with me, and she passed on a lot of great stuff, but there's so much more that I'm trying to level up with my kids and teaching them, because I want to pass it on for them to be, you know, sustainably well, and with the track of the world going the way it is. You know, our soil is completely depleted and everything's packaged and processed. You know, you've got to work really hard to be healthy, much harder to be healthy and well now, because you're constantly being attacked by the environment, by the food, Franken food that you eat, you know. And
so creating a healthy, nurturing environment that builds, nurtures, and supports all of it. And how important do you feel that teaching your children coping skills?
Oh my gosh, this is a whole nother level right now, because we were just talking about earlier, I was having a conversation with my brother about coping and about children, and about how children are not learning coping skills, and so they're turning to things that are really destructive, which may not seem destructive. You know, for example, and I'm just going to throw this out there, gender ideology, right? You have a lot of kids, youth, that are turning to, you know, their feelings and indulging in those feelings, and, you know, they're not fitting in, so they, you know, they want to, and they, you know, they're feeling awkward growing up, and hormones are changing, and then plus the world is as crazy as it is, and you have another element, which is social media, which wasn't around back, you know, years ago, which really changes everything. So with that element, you have children getting onto social media before their brains are developed, and they're what they see before their brain. You know, that's why it's like a no in our house. That'll be like, it's just not going to happen for like my kids until they're like,
I think
older.
You know,
and like,
thankfully they're still young, but I know young kids are on anyway.
So. Their parents are enabling and providing that for them.
Maybe, you know, they're using it as a quasi babysitter or something.
Absolutely. Yeah, that happens.
I mean, there's so much.
And some parents are just naive. Some parents are like, oh, okay, this is a way that'll keep you quiet, you know, and
they have friends, or you know.
Right. So what are they seeing though when they're getting on social media? They're seeing, you know, you scroll through, you know, you don't have to follow any of this, but it's popping up, you know, women in bikinis, fake boobs, fake lips, you know, fake eyelashes, fake everything, completely fake beauty standards, right? So that's really, this is something that's really interesting, because it's the more that I've talked to, you know, tons of different professionals, teachers, educators, you know, parents, and youth that think that they are, you know, another gender, identify as another gender. It has become a coping skill to go to another gender, because what they're seeing, this is really interesting, what they're seeing is they're seeing, especially young women, oh, I'll never compare to that. I'll never compare to that. I might as well. I feel more boyish, so I'm more comfortable over here because I don't have to measure.
I was
up
very
to what that
tomboyish.
like. Yeah, but that's fine. But you don't have to change the whole, you know, the whole package. And then you have the medical industry, which is now taking advantage of them, and pharmaceuticals, right? Hormones, hormone blockers.
Well, that's definitely a conversation.
I was going to say, that's another time. Like,
we could go down the rabbit hole, but
I know.
I like that when I asked what your non-negotiables are, they're more character building. You're not saying, well, you know, we have to exercise and we have to, you know, this and that and this and that. For you, your children's emotional well-being is paramount. And the body, of course it's important, hand in hand.
But that's like that's a staple. That's like just we move our bodies, right? That's just a part of our lifestyle.
Right.
I don't even see that as a non-negotiable. That's lifestyle.
Right.
That's like we just, you know, second nature.
You know, I looked in her pantry, and, you know, it's pretty much everything from like Sprouts or the health food store, and there's a whole little herbal pharmacy on her counter. So, I mean, really good ingredients and good resourced food is another one of your non-negotiables.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I don't really have a third question. I'd like to know what you're doing in the advocacy arena right now, and what the next move is.
Yeah, so I mean, what I've done with the t-shirts and the tanks and the hoodies and the gear, right? The silent advocacy gear is I want to be able to provide that for people, and I want to be able to build that up. I'm trying to do, fun, cute designs with really quality, materials and clothing. I don't use, that's one thing, as everyone said, is like, wow, it's like not junk. It's like really good
it's
quality.
Really good quality, sure.
Everything's like, soft, good fabric. So it's great in that way, but it's the purpose behind the messages. So it's like, let's get these messages out there, right? Let's just wear them boldly so that we can start conversations, and we can constantly be planting seeds out there, because that's what it's about for me. I'm like a professional seed planter. Oh,
I like that. Do you feel like these are getting the reaction you're looking for, or what kind of response are you getting?
I don't have a reaction that I'm looking for ever necessarily. I wear them with no expectation.
Wow.
But it's more for me.
Okay.
It was always like, in the beginning, this helps me to feel brave. So in a way,
I like that. But that's,
I mean, honestly, the way that I mentally would wrap my mind around it in the beginning when I started wearing them was, okay, this is like armor. I had a hard time. Yeah. So it was in the beginning, whenever masks were still required to go into play, I never wore one into anywhere.
Did you get kicked out?
Two times. But I handled those in a very strategic way, in the way that it was done. So basically, in wearing the shirts though, I remember the first time I was going to attempt to go into a store without a mask. And I remember it was very early on, and I had like an anxiety attack in the car. Sat there for 45 minutes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to work myself up to it.
I kept surprised.
I know, because like everyone, right? Like everyone has a starting point, right? And you have like your own feelings.
I never saw that starting point. I just saw you bold from the beginning.
Right. And I was bold for my kids.
Sure.
But like sitting in a parking lot waiting to go into a grocery store where I don't want to cause conflict. That's not my goal.
Right.
I just want to live in peace, and I want to have health freedom, so I don't have to put a rag over my face and have my breathing restricted, which then causes me to have a migraine, and then, the whole thing. So people are realistically, and I always explain this, people realistically have reasons for not wearing them, health reasons. So that was always my thing, was I would walk in the beginning, I don't wear them for health reasons. No, thank you. And I would walk right by. I didn't even stop. I didn't even engage. No, thank you. I don't wear them for health reasons. No one ever bothered me. I only ever got, like I said, 2 times, with something happened. But, with like the one, for example, it was at a thrift store, and I was in there looking for like, uniform clothes for my kids. And I'm like in there, and they don't have anyone at the door, but they have one of those silly, at a note on the door, and I'm like, I always ignore those because it doesn't apply. Sure. Even if you look in the ordinance itself for the county, which back then there was an ordinance written out. There was a section that actually had exemptions, and I always would carry that around in the beginning and show people, this is the exemption section. I'm exempt. You cannot force me to, So people just need to know, like,
tidbit. I was a little on the argumentative side.
Right.
I was.
I mean, if I needed to, I would be, but it's standing up for myself. It's advocating for yourself.
Right.
That's where it starts, right? So, and then you can
advocate
for people.
Well, I like that you said these shirts helped you to be bold.
They did, because...
And health freedom, you have to be bold, because when they say, well, you either have to do this, or you can't get this, or buy that, or shop here, or eat here.
Medical discrimination,
Right.
Totally and utterly, So, I mean, that's that shirt right there, it's like that was that for me in the heart of that, and then with the vaccines and everything started to roll out, it's like, you saw the next level. it was like,
Right.
I knew it. I saw that the masks were leading up to this. It just primed and prepped people.
Mhm.
It's drip conditioning. Drip, drip, drip. We're going to get you
Oh.
comfortable. Little bit at a
Sure.
time, you know? So,
Yeah, we know that.
yeah.
So,
but
what is the name of your t-shirt company again, and how
so
can
it's
people
mind,
get it?
Sorry, it's Mind Body Blend. So mindbodyblend.com, and I have, you know, resources on there. I have, you know, some health and medical freedom resources. I have podcast recommendations. I have book recommendations.
Oh wow, I haven't
some
been on in
intentional-
a while.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
so
didn't know there was all that stuff on
expanded
there.
because it was always supposed to be really just a place of empowerment and health and wellness, and then the shops on there as well, you know, for
Okay.
people who do want to, you know, go on and get
Okay.
something.
If
So-
people want to follow you on Instagram, I know it's like XO.
Yep, Debra Williams.
XO, like in Hugs and Kisses.
Yep.
Deb Williams.
Deborah.
Deborah,
so
sorry.
DEBRA Williams
Okay. She should have
on
just said
Instagram.
it.
It's okay. No,
Yeah.
no worries. We're good.
Yeah, and she has a lot of great info on there. She lets you know about things.
Yeah.
You know, voting and all kinds
Yeah,
of stuff.
I try to inform, educate, and empower.
Right.
That's kind of my thing. So,
And I'm all for it.
yeah.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think this is a really key interview, and you're just a darling.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.